Welcome to A Woman's Brew, where women talk about beer. In today's episode, we're joined by Tim from Fallen Acorn Brewing Co. I'm Joanne, and this is Tori.
Hello.
And we're two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us.
Thank you, Tim, for joining us. We are very happy to have you today. I feel like we always talk about how we could go on for hours chatting, and we do on forums and everything, and people will probably know you if they're on the beer forums, but why don't you tell everybody who hasn't heard of Fallen Acorn who you are, what your role is, who Fallen Acorn is?
No, thanks for having me. I'm Tim. I'm the general manager at Fallen Acorn Brewery, based down in Gosport in Hampshire, right on the water's edge. We're a sort of we're a bit of an enigma if you try to describe us as a brewery. You see a lot of sort of craft breweries and a lot of trad breweries, and I think for us, well, for me especially, when I joined and when I took over here, it was just to create something that had no boxes and no boundaries. And I mean, it all started for me years ago when I was trying to find a brewery that I could enjoy something in, and my dad could enjoy something in. He's a real old school, real ale brown beer drinker, and don't get me wrong, I love that. But it's hard to find somewhere where you can have a pint of that and at the same time a pastry stout or a smoothie sour or something like that.
Yeah.
And for me, it's been a real fun year since we started changing here, and that's what we're hoping to create down here.
That's brilliant. And speaking of that,
yeah,
I've had a long day. I'm assuming, Joe, you've had quite a long day. Tim, I don't know how bad your day was. You're still there. I left the office a few minutes ago, but I am ready to crack open a beer, and it leads us perfectly into the first beer we're going to have from you. Do you want to tell us about Oof?
Yeah, so Oof was the first beer that our new lead brewer Felix first recipe he came up with after he started here. We did a couple where it was a bit of transition period, but this was his first take on wanting to do something trad, because the heritage of the brewery is more towards the traditional side. But there seems to be a thing that trad is boring and Twiggy, and I don't think it has to be. I don't think it should be. Things change all the times. Adjuncts aren't really a new thing in beer, and people seem to have this conception that they're craft only. So we just went, you know what, mild's having a bit of a resurgence this year. We love a mild. We all grew up on a mild. How can we twist the mild to make it, a bit more hype, a bit more cool, whatever you want to call it? And obviously maple, and especially this sort of maple, is really omnipolo for us. So it was like a mashing together of the two, the oldest style of trad beer, the most Twiggy style of trad beer in most people's eyes, and an adjunct that people associate with Bianca.
Yeah.
So it was almost started as a bit of a joke, but I mean, it's actually come together really nicely for us. I mean, we like it in the bottle a lot. We've also got a few casts of it, and that's for us where the body comes through and the condition really shines, and the maple just balances beautifully with a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of nuttiness. So yeah, it was a beer that we sort of had as a bit of a joke, and now it's probably one of our favourites for drinking around the brew house. I can't wait for the tap room to be back open for it, really.
That face that Joanne just had when she took a sip, she looked like she was really happy.
I'm really happy.
She just went like, you just had this face of like, oh my, yes. Like,
it's so beautiful. Like, I love a mild, as we know. I like a dark and a sour beer. I love a mild. This is beautiful. It's such a lovely balance.
The maple hits like so perfect.
But it's not like massively sweet. Like, it's like the nice notes of maple, and then you've got a little bit, just like you said, a little bit of bitterness, bit of nuttiness. It's lovely. It's like a little hug.
Yeah.
I like the label, because your label, it says oof, just the first part of it where it says oof, that's a proper pint, none of that hipster bollocks. Joe's gonna now bleep me out.
I have to bleep that.
You won't, because that's what it says on the label.
Yeah, that's what it says on the label. I can't. I was putting it in the fridge earlier today, and I read it out to my husband because I was like, this is brilliant. I love that. I love this label.
What's caused you guys to pick? I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that line I think encapsulates it pretty well. What's caused you guys us to put that on there.
It's I mean, you see it on social media. There's a divide in beer, which we don't recognise or try not to recognise and disagree with, like, as much as we can. And it's one of them where, you know, there's a stereotype of the old boys, and they don't like hipster beer with their cartoon labels, and we're like, what's the most cartoon label we can do for the most sort of traditional style we can do? And we want to stop people recognizing sort of a divide and a split, or your trad or your craft, and just everything's beer. You know, we all love beer. You know, like we all go to the pub and we'll spend like silly money on some ridiculous US bottles of craft stuff, and then we'll go down the pub and have a pint of trad IPA. You know, why is there a difference? Why is there a divide? So it's a bit tongue in cheek, but yeah, if you read the full label, a few people have taken it quite seriously. It's not meant to be serious.
I think it's so funny. Just the first line. Like, I just read the first line and I was like, yeah, that's epic. That's so good.
We're thinking of doing a follow-up for it called Ooof, which will be the opposite. So it will be like a cask beer that we take to a camera beer festival, but then they tap it, it's just like a smoothie sour or something.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
But yeah, it's just breaking down divides. I think that's a big part of what we're about as a brewery. It's what we stand for as beer drinkers ourselves. And yeah, I mean, if you don't take the label too seriously, it really sums up what we're about.
I did laugh because as I was sort of taking out everything that because I basically used this as an opportunity as well to just order lots of stuff. I've got the Sabro stuff on. I got like 2 glasses because I was like, I'd been eyeing the glass for so long, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I was like, well, it's all going to come together. So I'll just chuck it all in. And yeah, it was funny as I was going through and taking stuff out. I literally, I think this is one of the first ones I pulled out, and I pulled it out and I just went, oof. And I don't know, it was just like an involuntary thing to do. And then it made me laugh because then I was like, oh yeah, oof.
The main sort of started it. We've got a couple of old boys at the tap room who are absolute legends, but they are that stereotype where they have a pint of cask and that first sip and they'll just go, ooh. It's like too good not to use. Like, yeah, that's what we do. We'll go to have a real pint of bitter and something like that, and you're just like, oof.
Yeah.
So brilliant.
Yeah. I'm totally down for this. Like the whole like traditional Twiggy beer, she says with air quotes, and like the, you know, the out there stuff. Like, just drink what you like. Like, I don't understand why it's all, as you say, it's all beer. And if it's good beer, what does it matter whether it's on cask or keg or bottle or can?
It's what we hear too much, and you hear it online too much. If someone doesn't like a beer or a style of beer, the go-to is not, oh, I'm not that keen on that style.
Right.
Oh, that's not beer. Just stop putting other styles down because you don't like them.
Right.
Let's just embrace the fact that there is a massive spectrum of flavors and styles, different ingredients, different. I mean, adjuncts are a funny one, and this is one of them where you go, oh, you shouldn't be using this, you shouldn't be using that, and they go, no, beer needs to have hops in it. Okay, well, okay. Before hops, there was a lot of fruit, herbs, spices, and you go, oh, that's in your eyes not beer. But where does tradition stop? And like, your tradition's more modern than actual tradition.
Yeah.
So it's just silly. The whole thing's a bit silly, and that's what we hope and you see it in a lot of other breweries now. See some of the big boys in the UK doing things like Best Bitters this year, and some more miles coming out, and it's brilliant to see because there shouldn't be a divide. I was at Northern Monk before I was here, and we had all the cask stuff of Northern Monk, Faith and Eternal, and that. And there was always Timmy Taylor Landlord on, and everyone loved it. Yeah, it's a great pint. Stop the divide.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting what you said about like the idea of like, you know, your dad likes more traditional stuff. You obviously, I mean, you like a mix of stuff. But that's really interesting and quite a valid point of like, it does help to bridge that gap as well of like, where are we going to go to have a drink if you like more traditional style and I don't like more traditional style? It's kind of like, you know, oh, we could go to the pub, the local pub, which is going to have like macro stuff on it, and then maybe some real ales, and maybe I don't like real ales as much, or okay, we could go to a craft place which is going to have things that, you know, my in-laws call it like funny beers. They go, we've got your funny beers in the fridge, you've left some of your funny beers over here. Yeah, and it's like we had a new place that opened up nearby to us, and they're like, oh, it's got your funny beers down there, and I was like, yeah, and I love that idea of you've created this environment that is going to kind of accommodate multi-generations, multi-taste buds, and everyone's going to find something that they enjoy, and sometimes you're going to mix the two together and there's going to be a common ground even in the beers that you create.
What was brilliant is after my dad had some beers off us, and he, you know, he'd seen the variety we were doing, and sort of sent him a load of trad bottles, but a few others just as well. And then because he's an airline pilot, I got a photo from him about a month and a half later, and he was in LIC in New York. And you go, and he would never have even thought to set foot in there. But he's now, since he's tried some, gone out, and now he enjoys craft beer as well, the same way I enjoy traditional beer. And the divide just stops people experiencing flavour. It's like, are they going into a restaurant and saying, you're not allowed that because you eat this? Like,
right,
depriving yourself.
Yeah, like you can't eat Italian, you can only have British. Yeah, it's ridiculous. No pasta for you.
That's it. I think sometimes you can have people that are, first of all, I just also want to say before I make my point, the fact that both of you said Twiggy just brought no end of happiness to like hear that said out loud. That was hilarious and amazing.
I always think that's such a weird term.
I think
I love it.
I think it's used for the wrong beers. Like we do beers that we jokingly say are Twiggy styles and things like that. I mean, to me, Twiggy actually is just bad versions of those styles.
Yeah,
and I think that's where the words come from in beer. It's you know the old. I don't know, I can't think of any breweries that are not around anymore. But you know, when it was made poorly and cheaply and just lazily. I don't actually think there's many traditional breweries in the UK that do Twiggy stuff anymore, because there's a lot of great quality around the UK in both craft and trad and everything. The breweries have really stepped up, and I think the word's almost become a meme of itself.
And that's why it just brought me endless joy that you guys both just said that. That was brilliant.
Twiggy Tory now.
Oh, please don't. I don't know. What do I prefer? I've got like Siren Queen. I've got
Siren Twig.
Yeah, I'll get called that by some people. I'm surprised you've not seen that one yet. Yeah, it's
Siren Queen. I've seen that one.
Yeah, that one. I've never been called Twiggy before. I would love to see the reaction of some people if you called me that. It would bring me joy, 100%.
We can definitely arrange that. That's fine.
Yeah, please. But yeah, I think if you start to see more people bridge that gap, and like you said, I know there definitely are. Like Elusive's done some stuff that it really blends sort of traditional and non-traditional, and there's a lot more brown ales coming out now and everything. You know, Siren's done it, Elusive's done it. I've seen a lot of brown ales coming out. When you have that more accessible to a wider audience, and you're bridging those gaps, you might find that there are people more willing to try the other side. They wouldn't have before they would have just shut it down, but when you slowly ease them into it, I think that might help build their confidence. And now that's like really great that your dad's gone, I never would have come in here before, and now he's just basically doubled the amount of places that he'll visit.
100%. I mean, it's good to see as well all over the South Coast. It's happening more and more. So we've got Arundel just down the road from us, and they started very much the same way as that we were, and they've converted to doing more modern styles, as we like to call it, because I think again the word trad or the word craft just creates it's modern styles of beer. They've done exactly the same, and now you look at them and they've got this beautiful new brew house, and they're producing everything from, they're still doing all the traditional stuff, but some of their modern styles are incredible, some of the best on the South Coast, and it's just popping up everywhere around the UK now. It's great to see, and fingers crossed it means that in 5 years time you can go to any bar and get anything.
Yeah, and it might encourage places, it might encourage pubs that previously didn't offer those type of offerings. It might convince them to sort of spread out from what they're normally offering anyways, and offer a bit more variety, because I know, like, I hate going to my most local place that's 5-minute walk from mine, but I hate going there because the craftiest I can get is a punk IPA. And that's no disrespect to punk IPA, it's just, do I want to go and drink that all night, or a Foster's? Like, no, I really don't. I'm going there to socialize, but would I really go there for beer? No, I'd rather sit at my house, 5-minute walk away, and have my own beers and have my friends around here where I've got more selection. But if they're encouraged and seeing this as something that's better, and they start getting more stuff in, I might start going, well, actually, it's worthwhile going out now. And then they'll see the value
100%.
of it, really.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's something I can't wait for. Pubs being shut's been a real killer as well, because a lot of, for me, socializing with beer is about a mix of styles and enjoying different things over a course of time. You're not going to just sink some pints and get a bit drunk. It's not about the drinking for the alcohol's sake. And craft beer, whatever you want to call it, has never really been about that. And pubs being shut, you're just looking at a bottle of 750ml Impy Stout going, oh, maybe.
Right.
But I don't want to do that on my own. I mean, there's always that argument of, oh, beers are too big, or these strong beers need to be in smaller cans. And the reason I've always been against that is because I want to share them. They're beers that should be a social sort of occasion for me. If I'm ever sat, of course, I like the flavour and I enjoy them, but if I'm ever sat at home drinking Impy Stouts, I'm probably not feeling as good as when I am around mates.
Yeah. Yeah, I sort of raised this as a discussion point the other day, where it's like, what beers do people have sitting around their house that they want to go, that they're holding on to specifically to share with their friends? And the people, I don't like to say, oh, my friends don't like craft beer, because I think since the pandemic and the lockdown has caused me to meet more people online, I consider more people my friends now than maybe I did at this time last year. But the people in my immediate friendship circle that live nearby to me, they're not the most craft people. I think I mentioned this like the other day, and but they are people that when I open something and they're around my house for a barbecue or whatever, they'll try what I have and they'll actually enjoy what I have. They're just not the type of people that necessarily go out and buy it themselves. And for me, it's 100% about the memories of sharing things. I associate some of what I'm tasting with the experience that I'm having. And I got this from you guys, which is your orange. It's the Leave Town with an Orange and Pretend You're Laughing at It. I want to know about that name later, but it's the Orange Blossom and Orange Blossom Honey Wheat Beer. And yeah, it's quite a big bottle. I'd happily drink it by myself, but I would like to share it with other people. I don't want to just sit and drink it to my face.
It goes back a bit to the reasons that another reason why we want to break the divide and also be accessible for everyone in a way of having a range of styles, because people that aren't that into craft beer will still come and drink a nice craft lager. And again, you see some great craft lagers around the UK, but there's a lot of breweries you look at and you wonder why they haven't done a craft lager that's permanently in their range, because that's that access point where someone who just drinks normal macro lager goes, oh, I'll come to the tap room as long as at least they've got a lager. And then 5 weeks later, they're on a pale ale or an IPA. And then they're, that's pretty much, I'm sure that's how I got into lager to real ale to, IPAs. And I think a lot of people, I don't think anyone started by smashing back Impies and Lambic.
No. If that was your first introduction, you'd be like,
I mean, if you're out there, I
want to hear from the person that started on their craft beer journey on a proper Canty and Lambic. Like the
it doesn't count.
Well, I was going to say it all depends, because I would take it with a pinch of salt when someone's telling you like, yeah, that's it. I'd be like, okay, so tell me your timeline.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, like sours is always like
Carling Campion.
You'll have people try like these massively like complex sours, and then they'll be like, well, I don't like sours. And it's like, that's because you started with the most complex thing that you can find. Let's take it back a bit, and it'll be like a Vault City, where it's a bit less like sweet, it's a bit more like fruitier. Let's build that up. You're not going to go straight in and be like, oh, let's go with all the most complex in odd flavors that you can
Yeah.
find, like at Omnipolo. And then you're like, I don't
it's
like
what makes
it.
Vault City such a good. I know we're going to Tobel track it. It's what makes Vault City such a good brewery, because they're. I don't want to say this the wrong way, because I don't mean it in a bad way. They're simple in their beers in many ways, but at the same time, those same beers are really complex.
Yeah.
And then that makes sense unless you've had one. But they're such a everything they do is so well brewed and well thought out that it's got layers of different flavors in the same fruits even, and I'm all the time in the world for that brewery.
So good. And I think that they put out accessible flavors, so their names, like, people go, oh, plum bakewell, yeah, I'll try that, and then they're like, oh, this is a sour beer. Oh yeah, I like sour beers. Like, it's that accessibility and getting people in that way, I think, is really important.
Yeah, the Iron Brew is another
great
example.
exactly.
I didn't get that. I wanted to try that one, but I was like, oh my god, I only have so much money, and I feel like they will bleed me dry if so but what I like about you guys though is you get, what I really like about what you guys do is you've done it numerous times now, where you've taken like your base layer of here's this beer, and then you've gone, we're going to amp it up a bit, and then you've gone, so we've made it a bit of an impy, and then you're like, no, that's still not good enough, we're going to do it one more level. So we got the for our new beers, our Triannuary episode, we drank your Pie Hard. I got extra Pie Hard, and then I also got this bad boy, which is your impy version, but it's a stout as opposed to like an impy sour.
I've got to be honest, that
it's the hat as well.
I spent 3 hours putting hats on bottles. That was fun.
For our listeners, they're talking about Christmas hats on top of bottles.
Oh yeah. Sometimes I get so used to the video, I forget to clarify that. But now I'm an impy, ho ho ho, and it's brilliant. And I just thought, it's like, even your Pie Hard was just so, like, the marketing you guys did for that was just so brilliant. It was like somebody having apple dumped all over the
Pie Hard with a vengeance came around, if I'm honest, because we had excess ingredients, and because we bought the apple for the Pie Hard, thinking, we're going to chuck a lot of apple at this, and then we chucked half the apple at it and went, wow, that's a lot of apple. So we were stuck with this other massive tub of pureed apple, and so okay, we've got to do another beer, and our immediate go-to whenever we've got anything like we need another beer, it's always an impy stout, probably because it's a firm favorite of all of us. But it was one of them, we go, is this going to work? Apple in an impy stout, we've had one or two, sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. For all of us, we've all said that that's far more a favorite than the original Pie Hard. And then after that, we were like, we've still got loads of apple left. How do we market this beer? And Felix had only just joined. It was the first big brew he'd done. Was an old recipe actually, but okay, we've got to initiate him to the brewery somehow. So we've got a cheap paddling pool off of Argos and some props that we had from a summer party, and we bought some custard from the shop and some apple pies and chucked it on.
I appreciated that hazing in the it was like, it was just a proper like, we've put custard in, and then it was like, you just dump custard on it.
Oh, bless him.
And I was like, oh god.
We were hoping that we tried to make that video as rubbish as possible, because we're all quite big fans of like comedy like Toast of London and that real British sort of deadpan stupidity. So we're like, how do we make this just seem as stupid as possible? And I hope we succeeded, because we look at that now like, what were we doing?
I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant that you put some of these in like the big bottles, as like the sharing 750ml bottles, and it's like, it's so good for sharing. I mean, I don't know if I really want to share that one myself, but I'll consider it.
The 750s, I think there's a few breweries over here that do big bottles. It just seems to be such a missing part of the market, and it might be a change in culture, but from the States to over here. But I say, myself and my best mate John, Custom Mate Beer Co, we do sharing events, and we get loads from the States, and they're all big 750ml bottles, and you can go around the room and you can chat to people, and everyone has a little bit, and it's all you need, because you have a few beers. You only need sort of a third or less than that sometimes. Over here, it seems to be like, it's my beer, my own, I'm not sharing it with them. I
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I've never done a bottle share, and I think I've always wanted to do one, but I've never done one because I've been really like nervous to do it. That sounds so stupid, but it's like because like my husband likes beer, but he's not bothered enough to go and drink with strangers. Whereas like I will, but then I'm also nervous of being the only person that's gone by
They're
themselves.
the best way if you're nervous. They're the best thing to do because 2 drinks in, you're just chatting to everyone.
One drink in, less than a drink in, I'll be fine. It's the getting there that's the problem. Like I'm quite like people don't realize that I get socially anxious because I get there and I'm like, hey, what's up? It's fine. Fake it till you make it. It's the getting there that's the problem.
We always make sure that we arrange it for a time and then tell them half an hour before so they get to the bar, and whatever bar that's hosting us, they'll go buy a beer or two at the bar first, and then they come upstairs to the event space. They're always like, I've had a couple of beers. Oh, hi everyone.
Yeah.
I'm always worried about the etiquette of like, what do you bring? Like, can you like, what if you bring a really crap one? And
I mean,
everyone's
don't
like,
bring
I don't want
Bud
that one.
Light, but
I mean,
what
definitely
you've
not.
got.
This is kind of why we set the events company up, because we wanted to provide the platform that if no one wants to bring anything at all, that's fine as well. You're providing some beers for a share, and if someone brings something, by the end of it, everyone's so relaxed. There's no judgment. There's no snobbery about it. It's just everyone's chatting to each other and enjoying beer. It's nice at the end of one of those sessions where almost everyone stopped talking about the beer because they've spent 6 beers talking about it, and anything else is just socializing. And it brings it back to what we've almost lost from being beer geeks.
Yeah.
It trains it out of you to be like, no, don't focus on this beer. Have you gone to a bottle share, Jo? Because your face looks like it was like, what?
Yeah. No, so I've hosted them at my house. Like I've had people bring stuff around. Yeah, but I mean, we've done them with Women's Pint Club where everyone's just brought something. We'll do that when we're allowed.
So I'll do that, like, because that's different because it's at your house.
It's at my house. See, we'll ease you in. You can come to my house and do it at my house with some of the Women's Pint Club ladies. And it'll be fine.
I have to find it. Yeah, I was going to say, I have to find a really good beer to bring so everyone's suitably impressed.
Don't outshine everybody with your beer selection. I've got that one that's made from the yeast from a 200-year shipwreck from Australia.
No one's going to outshine that. That is making a statement. That is like, hold on with my 200-year-old
been hanging on to it.
Well, then you drop the bottle.
Oh, mate, it's in a box.
That would be my luck, as I'd trip over my own feet and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. But that sort of brings it back actually to the next thing that I kind of wanted to chat to you about, that I know you're quite passionate about, we're quite passionate about, just the quality of ingredients, the importance of ingredients, and kind of the beer being seen as a premium product. Because I think, people won't bat an eyelid at, going and buying a 20 quid bottle of wine. But like, if you were to say, this 750ml bottle cost you 10 quid, people are like, oh, that's a bit expensive. I don't know about that.
Yeah. I mean, I get the Yorkshire attitudes of how much, because I mean, this is probably too pricey as a mild for them. It's I think the problem is beer doesn't necessarily have to be a premium product, but that's the whole point, the whole reason the craft beer movement as such kicked off, was as an answer to really low quality mass produced stuff that was widely available in the market, but there was no real substance to it. And I think what craft beer managed to do was create an environment where you could drink what you wanted, but quality mattered, and being the care of ingredient, the care of brew process. And that's not to say that every craft beer is going to be amazing, because taste is subjective, obviously, and people, we know as a brewery, you make mistakes and things don't quite come out how you wanted them to. It's the process and the care in that brewing process, that's what matters to me. And it's kind of like crafts almost taking a backwards loop, in that it should be an accessible thing, craft beer, because you can go to a pub and someone that's good at their job behind the bar will talk you into it and you'll taste a bit. That's accessibility. But just cheapening the product back down, and you do see some breweries just putting out a really cheaply made product now, labeling it as craft as a marketing term. I think this is why a lot of people are saying let's throw away the term craft because it's meaningless. I'd say no, let's just like reverse the balance again and go, let's make craft mean quality of product and how you do things, and how you do things morally as well in the brewing process, and all of that used to matter. And I think it's not an elitist thing. It's not a snobbery to expect that of craft beer. It's just that it should mean standards. Yeah, it's a tricky one because I understand people new to the market don't want to pay the big premiums, and lockdown's been hell for that because you've only got shops, you've got bottle shops online, you've got to take a punt on anything you buy. When we go back to pubs being open and you can have a taster, I think that makes all the difference. You have someone behind the bar who's like talking you through the beers and talking you through the flavor profiles. And I mean, even the best people in bottle shops, and there's some incredible bottle shop owners around the UK at the moment, but they haven't tried all their beers because they're in bottles and cans. So they're not talking you through those flavor profiles in the same way. Accessibility will come back. It doesn't mean making it cheap for the sake of cheapness or, cheaply made. Again, like the way to do things all trickles down to being able to pay a fair price to the suppliers as well, and to the staff of the brewery and the bottle shop being able to make a fair price, and just going, oh yeah, but why is craft so expensive? We'll make it cheaper. No, there's space in beer for that, just not in craft for me.
Yeah, I agree. And you're not you're paying for quality ingredients, you're paying for the knowledge of the brewer and the brewery and the people that you're buying it from. Like those people should have, you hope that they have that knowledge and then can serve you properly. Like you're paying for all of that. It's not just the beer that's in your glass.
100%. In any style as well, there's a macro brewery doing pretty much the same thing. I guarantee you, name a style and you'd be hard pressed not to find a macro brewery doing the same thing for cheaper, but it's not going to be as good.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. When you get the impression of, well, this dipper's £3. I think I saw a brewery's putting out a macro brewery's putting out a dipper, and it's like, okay, is someone going to have that at a lower price point, and then they're going to go, oh, why am I going to pay £7 for that one because this one's fine? Or if they're using that as a method to gauge whether they like a particular style, and then they're going to go and try the more expensive one that has the different quality of ingredients and everything else, and then they're going to go, oh, this tastes totally different than what I expected. It's wrong, it's bad. And it's like, no, it's your expectation may not have been set properly based on your experience.
Expectation, I guess, is that you go in with we need an entry level. Well, to me, entry level craft beer has always been breweries' core ranges. So I mean, we the first thing I did when we started here is we need a core range that has a bit of everything in. Northern Monk was a beautiful example of it when I was there. Their core range is one of the strongest in the UK for me. That to me is the entry level for craft beer because it's well priced, it's cheap, it's gotten cheaper. But making a £2 beer and then people's own expectations is, oh, that's what craft beer is. Well, that was a waste of time. They're never going to go and dive into the more expensive, really good quality stuff. They're just going to go, don't know why people pay these prices. It all tastes like this, and then it doesn't.
Yeah, you're not often going to find somebody that goes, oh, this dipper's my core range beer. That's not typically going to be. I think like you guys actually have quite a good sort of range of what your core is, because you have things that are more traditional, like you've got your golden ales, you've got your bitters, you've got a pilsner, you've got your oatmeal stout, you've got an IPA. It sort of spans across what I think everybody can, like, again, it's that same thing that comes back to, there's a little bit of something that everybody can enjoy, and they can go, well, I'll order the majority of these, and then maybe I'll try something different I've never had before that's maybe a bit more adventurous, and then they can kind of go, I've tried something a bit more adventurous, maybe it's for me, maybe it's not. Next time I go and order my core selection, maybe I'll try something else that's a bit more expensive.
We try and create packs as well that kind of lead people into it a little bit. So at the moment we do a traditional styles pack, which has got our 3 core traditional beers in. So you've got a best bitter, a golden ale, and a traditional IPA, and then we've got Ooof in it, which is it's one of them that the people that just drink more traditional styles will try it and go, it's a mild, but that little bit of maple might make them then go, actually, I don't mind sweetness in beer. And on the flip side of that, the lockdown survival pack that we put together is a lager, oatmeal stout, and standard 4.5% IPA. which are, you know, quite accessible craft styles to have, for want of a better word. Then we chuck Pie Hard in there, because then you're going to go, oh, pastry sour. Okay, well, I've bought these, I've had these, I'll try it. And even if they don't like it, it's just widening the horizons of what's out there.
If it was a whole pack of something that they'd never tried before, that they weren't sure about, they'd probably be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to go for that. When it's one that they've not tried before, they might start to go, oh, actually, all right, if I don't like it, I don't like it. And it's part of the pack and it's fine. No love lost. I'll just drink the rest of it. So
and the
it's
ones
really
that don't like it, we found the ones that don't like it will then give the can or the bottle they don't like to their neighbour. And then the next week we'll get an order from their neighbour going, oh,
that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant.
Or yeah, it's that thing of they'll give it to someone that's not heard of you, who goes, oh, well, even if they don't drink it and they're not sure if they like it, they'll go, I've never heard of them before. Let me just check them out real quick.
Yeah.
So very smart.
To be fair, it wasn't even done as a marketing exploit. It was just a happy coincidence. But it shows that people then go and talk about beer to other people that might not have any interest of it, and they did maybe not thought they had an interest of it. And the amount of new people we've been blessed to have supporting us through lockdown have gone, oh, I've never tried anything of this a funny beer, or whatever you want to call it.
your funny beers.
Your funny beers.
Yeah.
Do you get, I guess I've got a question that's sort of just thinking about all this sort of bridging the gap between stuff. Do you get a lot of pushback from do you guys get a lot of physical pushback, not you specifically, but the brewery? Do people write in and go, I really like traditional, and what have you done to this traditional style? And then do you also get people that are really craft, like super hardcore craft, that go, I don't like that you're being so traditional? Like, do you get people that come in and... I
think the pushback is always misplaced, and it's quite funny because what probably didn't help is that the head brewer, Ed, who was here before and built this brewery, and you know, he for years was doing trad styles with a lot of experimental stuff, but the experimental stuff never had the market to go nationwide or further. So he's doing it for the tap room, and you know, everyone around here knows that this brewery's always done a bit of both. And but you'll get some people who will just see the head brewer change, then see us do a few like cans with shiny labels and things, and they'll automatically turn around the traditional beers that they were drinking and go, oh, you've changed them, you've ruined them. And you go, well, we haven't actually touched any of the traditional recipes, because heritage is just as important to us as progression. And I won't say any names out of respect for them, but I had a big complaint of someone going off the chain at me about how we'd changed the traditional style beer that had been there for ages and all this. And I had to pull it all up and had a look for him. And it turned out it was one that Ed had brewed before he left. So the batch was the same batch.
Exactly.
But you'll get that natural perceived, you know, oh, they've definitely changed because they're doing fancy, hence the label on Ooof, that sort of attitude. Look, I think, to be fair, on the craft side, I'm not going to say anyone's better or worse, but craft beer drinkers at least try and embrace a lot more, I think. Most craft drinkers I know will still say, oh, I love a pint of cask, love a pint of real ale. I don't know as many sort of traditional drinkers that do the opposite.
Yeah.
But I mean, our tap rooms, I love it in our tap room, just because of the people, because all of our regulars have seen this progression over the years. And even the old boys who have been drinking the same pint every single day for the last 50 years, because some of our recipes go back, they're heritage recipes. They'll order that same pint, they'll sit around the table together, and they'll see someone walk past with something that's like that colour, or, you know, but instead of going and sort of muttering under their breath, they'll go, "Oh, Tim, have a taste of that one."
Brilliant.
So we've got a really open-minded community around us, which is brilliant.
That's really good.
But the pushbacks are all online. It's people behind the keyboards who just, you know, take an assumption of what you are as a brewery or what you ever were. People who always assumed we were just an old Twiggy brewery. We get it a lot. In people meaning well as well. We get people who will do chats like this, and people will always, well, the questions we always get is, oh, you've always been an old Twiggy brewery and now you're going into sort of more modern stuff. And we go, because people don't know that Ed we found a picture of Ed from 20 years ago, and he sat in this chair with his sort of young face and all this. And we're looking at his pint, and it was the haziest thing I've ever seen. And this was back when, you know, it's got to be off.
Yeah.
You're going to get gut rot. It just looked like a New England IPA. No, I don't think there were New England IPAs in the UK 20 years ago. I might be wrong.
I don't think so.
Well, who knows? It could
Who
be
knows?
something. It could be something where they've
experimental
created that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But, yeah, we've got a history of always doing this, and that's what, for me, when I took over here, embracing heritage is just as important, if not more important, than progression. And so the pushback is luckily minimal.
I think it is probably as well. People have so much more time on their hands now because they can't go out and do anything else. It's like, oh, what can I do? I'm just going to complain about something
online. That's my new hobby.
Yeah, honestly,
we've been told a few times that we've made one of the best one was that we got told that we had made all our traditional beers hazy because hazy's the cool thing to be. And they hadn't realised, and I don't know how long they've been drinking our beer, but they claimed it was a real long time. But our bottles are bottle conditioned. So there was a little bit of natural sediment and a little bit of natural haze in there, a little bit of chill haze. We don't fine into bottle with isoglass or anything, but that's never changed.
Yeah.
You're just going with the times. Oh, hell, we've been doing we're groundbreaking then because we've been doing that for a year.
It's got to be that thing where you just kind of go, you know what you've been doing, and you're like, it's not even worth arguing. So you just go, yeah, unfortunately, it's it's what it is at the times.
We take it with a pinch of salt though, because I think it would be a bit hypocritical of us to be saying enjoy what you want, and you know, we laugh at it, but at the same time, if people like what they like, I'm also no one to go and beep on that. So I'll do your job for you there.
Thank you.
It's in fairness, because you're the guest, she wouldn't beep you out. It just gets a beep count when I say too much, which have been really good lately. So besides saying bollocks, is we've been doing really good lately.
You're just playing with that one now. You know what's
now she's done it again.
But I just was reading the bottle, Joanne. Come on, relax. It says bollocks right on it.
We're trying to be family friendly.
Yeah, for family friendly beer podcast. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. No, honestly, I've been good. It's really the one that I'm interested in, that I want to hear before we go on, I think, to the last bit, because again, we're conscious that it's nearly 5:30 and you've got to get out before it's too late. Before we go to the last part, which will be name that beer if you're up for that challenge, I've also got from you, have you got any samples? The Froze. I want to hear more about that, because that's the one it's not out yet as far as we're recording, but by the time this comes out on Monday, it will be out.
I mean, Froze is, I don't know, we'll start on the beer, not the name. The Froze's, it's kind of a response in a way. There's a few breweries in the US who have done Froze's, or Froze style beers that are named other things. So I know sort of the Vale do some. Basically, for us, it's a heavily fruited sour, but with a bit of sweetness too. You've got that scale. Staggeringly Good have done a couple over in the UK. They've been brilliant. And it's sort of that scale between sort of triple fruited goes, the sort of stuff that North was doing, that level, when they go up to those real thick smoothie ones. The reason we went for Froze, I mean, Kings are another brewery that have done one. I think they probably coined the phrase. For me, the reason we used it is because people kick off when you go, this is a goes. They go, that's too thick for a goes, or that shouldn't be that strength. Fine. Froze is essentially based on a frozen fruited rose cocktail. So that thicker mouthfeel, the big heavy fruiting, it saves arguments, and I think it's quite a cool term, and it leaves no confusion, which is great because it stops those arguments. You're just concentrating on what the beer tastes like, not what we're calling it. We chucked a load of raspberry, blackberry, passion fruit, and a load of vegan marshmallows at it, on top of just our house sour base, which is a load of wheat and bits and bobs. And we sort of set out to this because we've done a pilot of it where we'd use lactose, and we're like, well, we want to find a way where we can just take that out of the equation, but still leave enough sweetness in that it's, you know, not just real tart, dry fruit. And hopefully, I mean, we'll find out next week if people like it. But yeah, I think we'll see a lot more of these. I know Vault City have just started. Some people are calling them smoothie beers. I think Froze for us gives us more scope to be able to do more. So we can do some that aren't ridiculous glass destroyers. This is more a summer smasher for me. But at the same time, we're going to have some that is just gloop in a can. And yeah, I mean, the name, it had a working title. We do a lot of cultural references because we can't think of names other than ripping people off. I think I can't remember the working title. And then that week we got bombarded by Instagram influencers and the like. And again, it's not something doesn't bother us. It's quite fun. In fact, we're really happy to send out samples. To be honest, you know, if people, we're lucky that a lot of our influencer friends and that are happy to support us and will buy beer and things like that. We'll still send them out, just humour them a little bit. But we're like, the next time we get asked for it, we want to just be able to send them one that they open. Oh, we got a sample of beer, and they'll open it, and it will just, the first thing they see is what they asked us on it.
That's actually brilliant.
That's brilliant. Have you got any samples? Yep. There you go.
And I mean, again, we try and be a bit fun with it because I think people take beer too seriously these days. It's just another one of those spiels down the side that I've seen a few people describe this and Oof as a rant down the side. So it's not a rant. It's just us poking fun tongue in cheek.
Some people just don't get the joke.
It just shows how seriously people take beer. We're not about that. We're about good flavors and, you know, having fun with beer, and that's what beer should be for us. But yeah, I hope people enjoy it. And I mean, we're up against some real competition over with Staggering just down the road. They've done some incredible stuff, and we get a lot of US stuff in the tap room from Mortalis and the Vale, probably more towards the smoothie side of it than we've gone for this. But they're the best in the world at this sort of stuff. But the more we see it come over here, and that's the other thing that spurred us on to brew it, is we want to see more styles that we don't see over here. And we try and do that with a lot of every other special or every few specials in the 750s as well. Try and do something that you don't see as much of. That's sort of our ethos, just brew everything and don't forget stuff. You know, it's easy to go, oh, we're doing this, and you forget about a whole range of styles. Like just the other day we were talking about, we found an old recipe book from 1980s from local breweries, and they're all old Whitbreads and Brickwoods recipes.
Yeah.
And old, I want to do like a trad styles, like heritage day, where we get a load of pilot brews of old bitters and old, you know, Mars. And we'll throw it alongside this though.
Yeah. I'm all for that.
Such a brilliant idea. Yeah. And when you posted that your tap room was open back up, assuming everything goes along with the timelines, and you've posted like the most delicious looking barbecue that's going to be there as well. And I was just like, I wish it was so much easier.
Shout out to Barebones Barbecue. Smokehouse Barbecue in the UK doesn't get much better than them.
Nice.
I was like looking at the photos. It's like, I'm drooling. Why are you so far away, please?
Well, once things are back to normal, we're not that far.
Yeah, no, definitely. Only like a quick car ride.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
I think you guys should put this. This is going to be a really radical idea. You should put this into a slushy machine.
We've got one.
Yes.
I'm not as radical and badass as I think.
She likes to pitch all these ideas.
Yeah, I love pitching ideas.
Too late. That was
I
Sunday.
insisted, I was probably a bit pushy about it. I insisted when I started here, I was like, I'm going to buy a soft serve machine. And then luckily our mate, he works in a local sort of shop. It's like they had a clear out of old stuff and they had a slushy machine. And I was like, I'll swap it for you for a keg of beer. And he went for it.
Nice.
Only one side of it's working at the moment, but we did, I can't remember what we did in it. it might have been Pio, I can't remember. But yeah,
that'd be
all summer
amazing.
that will be out every weekend at the tap room.
Yeah, that's I can see like put
incentives.
your frosé in that.
Yeah.
Make it a proper frosé.
Hopefully we'll have another one out by summer, sort of more tropical flavors and things like that. But we're playing with stuff at the moment. It's the one beautiful thing of lockdown. It's given us time to experiment more than we would have.
Oh,
yeah,
jealous. Absolutely jealous.
Amazing.
Before we go on to the last bit, Jo, do you have any other things you want to?
I don't think so. So I drank Fallen Acorn quite a while back when they were a trad at a cheese festival.
This is the other thing. I love stuff like that.
Right.
It seems brilliant. That when you become craft, you've got to stop doing, can't do the cheese festival. There's one on the Isle of Wight that's beer and buses where they just go on a bus around different pubs and that. Or there's one that I knew when I started here that I would love to do again on the Watercress line, where they take one brewery and they fill the train with beer from that brewery, and you just go on a little train ride and get drunk all day.
Nice.
And I'm not sure if they'll even look at us anymore, even though we still do the same beer we did then, because our image is, a bit of a mix. But if they're ever listening to this, please take us back there. I would love to it's an old steam train, and you can
yes.
We'll make sure when we post this, I'm going to post like a plea to them of like, please
take Fallen Acorn back on your train.
We'll all reach out. Everybody will just reach out and go, please. Let them go on.
Cheese festivals, anything like that. It's beer and cheese. What more could you want?
Right. It was brilliant. I had samples. There was an eggnog stout that I took home in a bottle. It was great. Right? Amazing. You'd have loved it.
That sounds amazing. Oof. I just went on with it. Oof.
So excited.
Caused me to do a happy dance. Right. So I guess on to the last bit then, if you're up for the challenge of we're going to give you 4 beers and we're going to read you the description of the beers and we're going to see if you can guess what they are. I will say Charlotte from Phantom has now tied with Ian and JD from Wild Weather for the top spaces where they got all 4 correct. So eventually we're going to have a final showdown. But are you going to accept the challenge? That's the question.
I accept the challenge.
Hey!
To be honest, are they most of the UK? Are they?
They're all yours.
They're all yours.
Fallen Acorns.
All your
Fallen Acorns. All Fallen Acorns.
Oh god!
I mean, you can give us a year if you'd like us to stick to a certain year.
No. Well, before 2019, I probably don't know.
Okay.
Go for anything. Go.
All right, I'll let you go first, Jo.
Right. We brewed this with dried orange peel after pouring the wort over a homemade caramel. The result is a pithy and zesty orange hit that gives way to a slightly jammy mouthfeel and a caramel backbone, and a delicious smelling brewery.
I remember that one because the brewery smelled amazing. Lady Marmalade.
Yes. Ding, number 1.
I will say there's all these ones that I'm like, which is the one that I want to read out, because all the names are brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, the names are so
honestly
good.
If you just spend an evening getting drunk with 3 brewers, that's all you do. Everyone's like, how'd you come up with your names? How many drinks have we had? Not enough. Let's try again.
I'm gonna go with this one because I like the version that you guys have used to make this version. So we took our Russian Imperial Stout Crimea River and stuck it in Scottish whiskey barrels for 6 months, along with 20 kilos of sour cherries per 200 litres. The result is an indulgent, strong yet smooth stout with a tart hit of cherry that cuts through the layers of coffee, chocolate and whiskey.
Do I have to get the words in the right order?
I don't know. It depends on we make up the rules, so it depends on how we'll see how lenient.
I know the beer.
I know you know this because I remember talking to you about the artwork on this beer ages and ages ago.
The problem we've got with this is that we put one thing on the can and all the brew sheets read a very slight variation of it. So
all right, because you've explained it.
I'll go with the Valley of Ghosts.
Yay!
Yeah, you got it right
Well
order as
done.
well. Well done.
Okay, the brew sheet is Valley of the Ghosts, and everyone keeps coming and asking for it. And I'm like, no, you're getting the name wrong. And then I realize I'm getting the name wrong.
There's probably nothing worse
Brilliant.
than realizing you just told
Yeah,
me and you're like,
yeah.
oh, it's me. That's a me problem.
Oh, at least I got it right.
We're 2 for 2, so you've only got 2 more to go, and we could be in a
Precious
3-way
one.
tie for
Let's
first.
do this one next.
Yeah.
Have you got your samples? I've got it here in front of me.
Right. Rosebud, rose petal, lemongrass, and hemp pilsner. Light, floral, citrusy, and fruity. Drink chilled and fresh.
I realised which way around these two came out. We released them as a double rose release. Kiss from a Rose.
Yes.
Well done. 3. So you're already, so we're going to put this into perspective. You have already beaten Matt from Siren.
Or
Oh,
Matt
no.
from
Sorry.
Siren.
Siren, you should have got you on it.
I mean, come on now. She got me guessing it, yeah, for sure. Last one. This could tie you in a 3-way for first place. And it's going to get really complicated because now we're going to have everyone back on and do a showdown.
Yeah.
And maybe this will be when we do the trip around. We'll have to do the trip
Yeah.
around. Right. Summer Fruits Milkshake IPA packed with strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, black currants, blueberries, vanilla, and milk sugar. I'll give you this Pilot 2020 series.
I know which this is, I think. I hope now I've said that. Because I'm really stupid.
That was very confident.
Yes, yeah. I think it is because I think I named it. Is that Resistance is Futile?
Yes, it is. Well done.
Well done.
We've got a tie for first, so we're gonna have to think of a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we thought this far ahead.
No.
We weren't gonna have. The thing is, we weren't gonna have a leaderboard until Matt at Siren was like, "Do you have a leaderboard or something?" And we're like, "Well,
We can
yeah,
do.
we do now." So that's the thing. We've got it now.
Who else is?
So it's Ian and JD from Wild Weather. They were the first people to get 4 out of 4. Then Charlotte came on from Phantom, and Charlotte's got 4 out of 4.
Can we do it in alphabetical order then?
That's it. Yeah, we'll think of some way to do a tiebreaker, and then we'll just
Well,
have
I'm
to.
sure we'll all end up hopefully at some sort of festival or at some sort of tap room event this year, and we can do an in-person.
Yeah, and you can all have your own buzzers. Like I'll let you guys all pick your own buzzer noises.
Oh,
Everything.
you can set up your own craft, but like the beer show, we've got buzzers. The beer quiz.
Oh my god.
The big fat beer quiz of the year. I think we'd probably get a C and D for
Throw around
that.
and
Yeah.
Twiggy.
We'll find a way around it. That's what I'm here for. I do the ideas. I can.
Yeah.
I've got all these pitches. I'll pitch something good. Don't worry. Well, it's been lovely to have you. I don't think we want to keep you any longer because we know you're really busy, and
No,
we
thank
really
you so
appreciate
much.
you taking the time to come talk to us.
No,
Hopefully,
thank
we
you
can
very
come
much.
visit.
Yeah.
Please do. We'd love to have you down there, and thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah,
Of course. Thank you very much.
No
Cheers.
problem. Well, enjoy the rest of your beers as well.
Yeah.
And
We'll do.
try not to crack the
750.
750s on your own.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure I share them.
Yeah.
Maybe. Short pause all round. Big pause for me, little pause for everyone else.
Oh, that was brilliant. I really
Yeah, that was
enjoyed
really
that
good.
chat.
It's genuinely like, I feel like he is a person, 'cause I've talked to him so much online and stuff. He is a person that I feel like you could just sit and have a really good, not serious conversation. Like you can have serious conversation and just total joking conversations. You could just sit and talk to, it feels like, for ages on everything. And the thing is, like, what I really like is you can have conversations about him, or not about him, with him about these topics, and you can get passionate about things. He understands you can get passionate about a topic, but he doesn't take it personally. And it's like, you can have these conversations. He's not taking it personally. And it's really great, I think, to be able to have that. Because I think a lot of times, like he was saying in the interview, I mean, people can get so serious about beer.
Yeah.
It's difficult to have conversations without somebody getting properly upset.
Yeah. Beer's for fun, people.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're here to enjoy ourselves.
Exactly. So that was exciting.
Yeah.
And I think nothing else to say, is there?
No, I don't think so. If people want to talk to you about fun times with beer, where can they find you?
Yeah, if you want to give me beer festival recommendations, bottle share recommendations, the best beer to bring to your bottle share, you can find me on Instagram at adventures_in_hoptimism. If people want to talk to you about Twiggy beer, Joe, where do they
Come
find
and talk
you?
to me about Twiggy beer. I am in Kent after all. My personal Instagram and accounts are under A Woman's Brew on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can find my beer school where we learn about all the beers, not just the Twiggy ones, not just the craft ones. That is Love Beer Learning. And we are Love Beer Learning on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the TikTokies, Pinterest, and all of those fun places. You can also come to the website, lovebeerlearning.co.uk, and you can email me, lovebeerlearning@gmail.com, and we'll pick up the emails there for the podcast as well. If there's something, if there's a guest you want us to have on, if there's a style of beer you want us to look at in an episode, if there's a beery question you want to answer, we want answered in a podcast
Hot
episode.
topic, agendas.
Hot topic, yeah.
Want
Let us
hot
know.
takes.
Let us know. We will do an episode just for you. So on that note, cheers.
Cheers.